Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind. Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsie.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Mack's got a pen that can warp the stars. DT's got stories from cavalry scars. One writes the worlds where the heroes fly, the other old tanks under desert sky. From sandbox forts to the final frontier, two kids with dreams and a six-pack of beer. Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the streetlights spark. We read those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters and books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Mack spins a tale about a rogue AI. DT counters with man, I drove that guy. From doom to doom, we argue the stakes while the coffee gets cold and the pizza box breaks. Childhood pals in a grown-up fight for the best damn death scene on a Friday night. Pixels or pages, we're never done. Two working stiffs chasing alien sun. We're in those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. Blasters and books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah. No capes, no powers, just regular days. But we'll save the galaxy in our own ways. Mack's drafting novels in the dead of night. DT's got tank tracks, turns them into light. Together we're louder than a hyperdrive scream. Two regular dudes living the sci-fi dream. Yeah, yeah, we're with those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. From the sandbox to the stars, we'll never say die. Tune in, geek out, those sci-fi guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Next week, Blade Runners or replicants. Bring the Bourbon Rider boys, gonna get real.
Woo! And there it is again. Just so good. You just needed to hear it twice or three times now at this
Hell
point.
yeah, man. It's my new favorite song. I'm such a dork.
So I just want to say thank you to Chet one more time. And DT, why don't you explain where we got to get to know Chet from?
In fairness, okay, Chet McKendy is a non de plume. We're a fan of those here on this show.
Yes.
Mack and I have been searching for a more original style theme song, and he showed out some money, found some AI, and put a whole bunch of our measurables and habits and whatnot into an AI generator with some musical notes. What kind of music we were looking for, and it turned out a few things, but this one was the best of the bunch by far. Straight banger. And we do apologize for the little tease.
That's not it. You don't need to have anything to apologize for. It was a fun thing. It was a fun idea. It was a fun little game. We were always going to come clean.
I was just, literally, it was one of those things that hit me while I was in the shower, not long after we kind of decided we were going to drop it. And I was like, man, this definitely sounds like early 90s, like country rock. Like, what kind of like Southern rock kind of name with this with a guy who sang this hound? And I just came up with Chet McKenzie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, but he needs to have a backstory. The former lead singer of the Georgia Swamp Dogs just sounded viable enough for somebody to go, that's a lot of effort. So
it was a good idea. It was fun. That was a fun dig.
It was.
Yeah, we gotta have fun somehow.
When the previous video posted on Facebook, it may or may not have had a hashtag Chet McKenzie on it.
It may or may not have, but yeah. So that was this is just kind of gonna dovetail into our episode that we did almost a full year ago about how AI is changing the way things are done. Yes, I did use AI. Dave from the Sci Fi guys actually showed me how to do it. And he'd been sending me some of his bangers that he's been, plotting out and everything. And I finally got around to doing it. And I just put in some prompts, say, I need you to do a theme song for our podcast. This is me. I do this. I'm a published author. I write fantasy and science fiction. DT Cabman was in the cavalry. He did several tours in the Middle East, and all true. The first draft was a little darker. Yep. Said that you were working through PTSD and we were digging graves, sci-fi graves.
Cinematic graves.
That's what it was.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. But here's how it worked. So
maybe it was you, because you tried to bury a lot of people we reviewed.
I have, but no, it wasn't me. So what I did was, I had the first version. I went to Grok and I said, okay, I like I generally like this song, but you need to change this aspect of the lyrics. You need to get rid of cinematic graves and put something in about how he was in the cavalry in the desert or something like that. And take out PTSD, because that's not applicable. Maybe it is for me, but
I'm not saying I may not have suffered from it. I just don't want it to
we don't need to have that in our song.
Yeah, it's not really going with the vibe that we
going for. No. So, and then I that's the version we have now. And then I had to do country, pop country, I believe. But the funny thing is, I can't go back to that program and say, take this song and just change the lyrics, because it'll change up the music completely, or it'll add it. It'll make the singer a different gender or something like that.
And this is the only reason. There's a couple of small things in this song I'm like, we could tweak, but
we can't.
After seeing the similar, one of the other versions of the song with almost the exact same lyrics, I'm like, but it's different. So I bet you if you even change like one word, it's going to screw it up. And that
exactly
sucks, because this is the beat that we're looking for.
Yeah. And I can't specify to keep that beat, right? Like, I can't name the beat. I can't save the beat. That's a limitation for probably something that's going to be fixed in the next year or two, right? But not right now.
The notes that this is listed under is country rock, twangy electric guitars, upbeat vibe, rough edge, but melodic vocals, which it nails. some, I played it for some of the family. Mrs. Cavman kind of popped her head a little to it. My kid was like, "What is this?" I played it for my dad, my sister. My dad thinks it's Keith Urban.
Yeah, he does. Because
He says it sounds like Keith Urban. My sister, I just sent it without anything, and she was like, "Did you guys get somebody to write and sing a song for you?" I'm like, "Yes, we did. It was called AI."
Yeah.
But our AI is known as Chet.
That's
instead of computer, T,
Yeah.
Earl Grey, hot, Chet, rock country theme song, please.
So I was thinking about that. We're going to be a little more informal tonight, everyone. We got a couple topics we're going to touch upon, and it's right before Thanksgiving, whatever. I was thinking though about the whole AI thing, and number one, I've been listening to several other songs that I've made because they are bangers. I love them and they mean something to me. But two, I was thinking about TNG and the holodeck and how often the crew has used the computer to make its own stories for them.
It ended up blowing up in their face several times.
Yes, but still, they were using AI to make something for them to enjoy.
Yeah.
We're literally in that stage now. It's rudimentary, and there's no photonics available.
Yet.
But yeah,
I'm sure. Well, can't you do that with some of those VR glasses? Like you put them on, and some of them have like AI built in.
I mean, I can guarantee you, if they don't, they're working on it real hard right now.
Well, I mean, and let's not forget too, like less than 2 months ago, we did Upload.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where AI does factor into it.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I mean, they're talking about using AI to start programming AAA video games because it's just going to be that much faster and that much easier to be able to do. I mean, if you're a computer programmer, learn a trade, everyone. Learn a trade. Optimus isn't going to be optimal until another 50, 60 years. So learn to trade. But yeah, it's we're entering into a different realm.
Is Optimus, is that the Tesla one, or is that something Amazon did?
That's the Tesla humanoid robot.
See, really, Amazon should have gotten onto it, because then it really would be Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Hey, Jeff Bezos is not as big of a geek as Elon Musk is. So he's a big nerd. We all know he chose Optimus because he likes Transformers. And you know that eventually the purpose of Optimus is to start to transform into a different form. It's going to happen. I was talking to my wife. I'm like, and my son, I was like, listen, were we talking about AI? I forget, but I was complaining about how we are considered elder millennials now. We're elder millennials. We're like the older millennials, and like we have to start taking out our
I actually
computers.
don't fall in that.
You technically do.
No, I technically don't.
I know 1980 is the friggin' cutoff for Gen X, but it's not. It's not. We are in that sweet spot of 1977 to 1984, where we were Generation Oregon Trail.
Or what they also like to call Xennials.
Xennials,
because you can't go a week and a half without somebody trying to label something else.
I know. Yeah. We're in that category, right? I mean, yes.
I'm okay with the Oregon Trail generation. I'm also okay with the DuckTales generation. I've heard that one.
That's
too.
a good. That's a good one too. So I was complaining about how we're considered I'm considered an elder millennial. Okay, even though you're only 2 months older than me. Fine, you're Gen X. Okay, you get off on a technicality. So,
Hey, look, man. I was under a different president than you. Just remember that.
Technically, you were. Yes, you were born during the Carter administration. No wonder I'm so much more awesome.
I mean, what?
No, just awesome. Just awesome. Roaring sure 80s, man. Roaring. I'm never sure about shit, DT. Are you kidding me? Let me live the bluff, okay?
Well, I would recommend Fiber. That'll help you be sure about the shit.
You can never trust a fart anymore. Not at this age. So
no. Never have, never will.
No. My point being was I was complaining about this, and my son says, yeah, we're kind of in a weird transition period. I'm like, yeah, I can guarantee you, I went Mack Jr., that when you're my age, you're probably going to have some kind of anthropomorphic robot helper servant in your house. And like people are just going to have that. It's just going to be the thing. That's what it's going to be. And
just call him Skynet
really fast.
Or maybe Isaac.
Thought about that. Oh, I was bringing up, actually, it wasn't, I was complaining about being an elder millennial, but I was also mentioning that Disney Imagineers developed a fully independent Olaf animatronic that can walk around the park by itself using AI. That's
and
what
Disney Imagineers need to invent a real working one of these.
I did mention, well, you're now entering Itchy and Scratchy Land territory. At that point, if you're having all those animatronics wandering around freely of the park, that's Itchy and Scratchy
Olaf
Land.
Was the worst part of that movie for me.
Really? He was so adorable. I mean,
I preferred Sven.
Well, okay, that just matches your friggin' okay, I got you. Tangled was a better movie than Frozen, though.
The reindeer with the brains. I don't know.
Yeah. Nah.
I saw the Clueless Snowman all the way back from the late 70s or whatever, when that Frosty the Snowman
birthday.
Exactly. Already had it. Already did it.
Well, Tangled was a better movie anyway. Fight me for it.
I don't know. I never saw it.
It was the last movie that really it was the last Disney movie that really focused on a romance, by the way. That was 15 years ago. They don't do romance anymore in Disney. Because for some reason, if a woman is interested in romance, it removes her agency, apparently.
Well, I'm not getting into that.
Well, I mean, that's just a reality. There was one other thing I wanted to mention before we got into something. Shoot. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Never mind. That's just it's live pod, everybody. That's what happens.
Well, that's you. Well, anyway, hilarious. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I mean, we are at that point where it's that time of year. We're heading into the holiday seasons. Some people's lives get extraordinarily busy, including ours. But there's also a lot of... Were you just doing Happy Holidays?
No. Maybe. It's the holiday season.
Yeah. Andy Williams.
Yeah, okay, then I did. Fight me for it.
Interesting story. My grandfather was actually offered a chance to tour with Andy Williams.
Was this before or after he became a doctor?
Other grandfather.
Oh, okay. First of all, that's cool. Second of all, damn, your grandparents were badass. So
I just got my other grandfather's trunk from World War II.
oh, really?
Yeah. I have a lot of his items. I'm going to be putting
What
a lot
theater
of them
was
in
he
his
in?
old Foot Locker. Pacific.
I was going to ask if he had any Nazi paraphernalia.
Nope. Besides which, he was a doctor. He was mostly behind the lines.
Yeah. What was I used the term that Cotton Hill used in King of the Hill. Oh, stop it.
Nope.
You're not gonna. I mean, I didn't mean to imply your father fought that. Your grandfather fought them. I mean, I would keep a trophy. I don't know about you. I mean, you literally were at war, but
I didn't take trophies. Like when a lot of people talk about that, they're usually pretty brutal. I did bring back some items. You know, I actually had at work, I had this clipboard that somebody had slapped an Iraqi flag on it years ago. And I found, and I ended up using it downrange. It was metal cover,
yeah,
you know, so it helps keep, whatever you're working on, you can open it, close it, and keeps it. So I've been carrying that around for 20 years. I've slapped a couple few other stickers on it, but I also found a small Iraqi flag. It was one of those ones, you see people hanging little flags from like the rear view mirror and stuff. I have a few things like that, and we were allowed to take home an Iraqi bayonet, and I found one and took one home. I don't have anything that would be considered illegal contraband. Not that I would admit it over the airwaves if I did, but I don't. No.
No, and I'm not implying you would either. I'm just there are just like items.
Who wouldn't have wanted to take home an AK-47 from whatever?
Well, I'm not saying something like that.
This isn't World War II. You don't get to take this stuff home, or even Vietnam.
No, I know that.
A lot of the military is way more restrictive of the things that you can take back.
Okay, what about containers of sand, of the soil that you've served on?
They didn't really want you to do that either for customs thing, but it's all right. It didn't freaking matter. Every duffel bag I sand in it somehow. Literally, I dump out a duffel bag, sand comes out. I'm sure I could cough up sand from Iraq and Afghanistan right now.
No, and I'm not equivocating your experience with World War II. Obviously, the military is different now than it was back then.
Well, things are different, but there's also a lot that's still the same. Like when I found, when I was at my grandmother's or my grandparents, right after she passed, I was helping my family go through some of the items, and my grandfather predeceased her, so a lot of his World War II stuff. There was still some stuff around. I'm looking through, and I'm like, oh, here's a copy of his orders assigning him to his last duty station to get out. What's this? It's another copy of the same orders. Another copy. And if you flash all the way back to the Office Joe scene we played, where he can't leave the Army without giving them a copy of his orders, and he can't use the copy machine because it's civilians only. They always recommend you make at least 10 copies of your orders. If you're going somewhere, deploying, moving to a different post, or getting out of the military, they always recommend making at least 10 copies of your orders. I usually made more, because invariably you'd either lose one and get ruined, or someone would go, "Oh, we actually need another copy of your orders."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but it was nice to know that in 1946, the Army was still asking for 5, 6, 10 copies of your orders.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. All right. Hold on.
I shared this with a buddy of mine, and he just started laughing. He's like,
Oh.
"No shit."
Sure.
Yeah. Go figure.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
Right.
Don't hedge your bets. So rely on yourself.
Well, yeah. Have you watched? And I know you had mentioned to me that you let your Paramount Plus subscription lapse. Is that it?
Yeah. Let it lapse for one day, and it didn't allow me to continue to use it, which is what there's some bug that in Paramount Plus that used to let me use it for months on end after I canceled my subscription. They fixed that apparently, but no, I let it lapse for one day, and then they were offering me another deal of 2 months for 99 cents a month. I'm like, hell yeah, because that's the one streaming service I watch the most now, shockingly enough, and none of it is Star Trek. None of it is Star Trek.
I will still occasionally turn on an episode of Deep Space Nine or Next Generation or Lower Decks or something. Nothing wrong with that. Well, anyway, my point being is, like, when you now watch, like, you turn on Landman, right, or Tulsa King, or any of these Taylor shows, right? The new ones, if you click on it, it was always flash the Paramount logo, and then it would go to the MTV logo, because I think Yellowstone and whatnot, a lot of those were made in conjunction with MTV in some way. Now it cuts to a different Paramount logo that also says Skydance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
I think Paramount's going to be in good hands with Skydance.
About that.
Yeah. Basically, because of the Skydance acquisition of Paramount, Skydance is not fans of Alex Kurtzman. Is that the segue you were looking at? Was that what you were aiming for?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, you could just do it, sir. You don't have to rely on me to be able to read between the lines, but I'll do it. It's cool. So yeah, basically Skydance has purchased Paramount. Not a big, not earth-shattering news. But as it turns out, Skydance has worked with Kurtzman before, and they are not fans of his. And there's Kurtzman's contract, which when they renewed his contract in 2022, I sent you the most frustrated text. I was in Tahoe sitting on the beach, and I got that notice of Kurtzman's contract renewal for 4 or 5 years. I'm like, oh, forget it. Like they really, this was right after Sherry Redstone gained control and merged Paramount and CBS together again. And Sherry Redstone was in control, and I'm like, oh, Sherry knows what Star Trek is. She's gonna take control and do the. No, she didn't. Shit. I'm like, oh, all right, well, there it is. Like, Star Trek's shit now, so it's gone. Well, apparently Skydance agrees, because they had Alex Kurtzman pitch 5 different Star Trek TV shows, and Kurtzman's contract was based off of Les Moonves's exit and final FU to CBS, by the way, for being run out of the company back in 2017, 2018.
He sucked anyway.
Well, he was terrible. He was the one who canceled Enterprise because he didn't understand what Star Trek was. But So Skydance, as part of the contract, said, okay, you can pitch us 5 new TV shows. We'll see what you have to say. All of them are pretty much meh. They're like, nah, we're not going to go that direction. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, or whatever that show is going to be called. It better not be Star Trek Starfleet Academy, because having 2 stars in it is going to be a stupid idea. I bet they go with that, though. Are you trying to share something?
Yep.
What is this? Oh, I got to remove. Hold on. What is this? Oh, Paramount Television Studios. Yeah. A Skydance Corporation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not bad.
That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of what zooms in when you start watching shows on Paramount Plus, or at least the new shows.
Yeah. No, very true. Fucking remove that. We don't need that anymore. So that being said, so now, actually, I'll just share the thing from Tachyon Pulse, because Tachyon Pulse podcast has a thing. It's really quick. We don't have to listen to too much of it, but Tachyon Pulse has been a very neutral kind of observer of
you might situation. Say a neutral zone.
Yes. So we'll just watch a snippet of this, if you don't mind. We'll put this in theater mode. Here we go.
Are going to be writing and directing the new Star Trek movie suite from the Bone series. Are going to be writing and directing. That's fatal. So, apologies in advance. My nose is so itchy, by the way. So, the new movie. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, and yes, one of these guys is Sweets from the Bone series, are going to be writing and directing the new Star Trek movie. And insiders have told Deadline that is actually going to be a complete refresh. Now, you guys that are members knew this 24 hours before everybody else, because I actually dropped this news on Thursday and then it was announced Friday. I thought I had more time than this, though, so I didn't actually put it on YouTube wide until Friday afternoon. But I was told this on Wednesday that this was in development. I just didn't know it was quite as far down the line in development as it turned out to be. So what was I told? I was actually told that this is, again, a refresh. It's a fresh start. Some people have been throwing around the word reboot, but that's actually really not fair, because it's not. But it is going to ignore Kurtzman Trek. I am being told, though, and this is really going to be important for Kurtzman, Academy, etc., that this movie is going to exist within the same timeline and same universe as any TV series that then follows it. Now, unless this movie is set in the same time frame as Academy, it means that's done. And unless this movie is then going to exist within the same time frame as Star Trek United, which is when Archer becomes the president, and basically, 100 years before the original series, then it means Star Trek United isn't going to happen. Now,
all right, so he's a very good guy. I like him. He's very even-keeled. He's not one of those haters out there or anything. He's a good analyzer, and he's got contacts.
No, he doesn't. He has glasses.
Ha 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 ha. I have contacts and glasses. Anyway, why do you have to derail me like that, though? So that
That's
being
what
said,
I do.
So that being said, because what Paramount wants to do is do a complete refresh of Star Trek and ignore all the Kurtzman Trek, which they can do easily by saying different timeline, wash that away, done. We don't ever have to talk about it again.
Even Picard season 3?
They don't have to say that it's not that timeline. They don't have to say that it is the timeline. We can just have that one moment of Star Trek Picard season 3 where we got to experience that storyline and we got to have a nice time. That's it.
What about Lower Decks?
Lower Decks will be erased. Not erased. It'll be unacknowledged. But I mean, they were putting together a sitcom by Tawny Newsome, a sitcom, like a Star Trek sitcom. No,
Look, I don't know if that would be any good. Well, I will tell you that Lower Decks was probably more faithful to Star Trek lore and canon than any TV show that's come out since Enterprise.
oh, absolutely, and I've acknowledged that, and I've agreed with you completely. It is the best show about Star Trek.
It also is probably the one that these clowns who are getting the old heave-ho had the least to do with.
Exactly. That's also true. But in this instance right now, the new movie is going to be a refresh, and it also means that Starfleet Academy is dead on arrival. Just dead. I have no intention of watching it, by the way. I mean, what I've seen is just bleh. It's more Discovery crap. It's basically Star Trek Discovery season 6 and Discovery season 7. That's the theory that's happening right now. That's Kurtzman's like, we were promised 7 seasons for Discovery, and we're gonna get 7 seasons in some form or another. So, but I mean, all the sets are already being dismantled. They finished filming season 2. Kurtzman's out by January. He's not allowed to come back into his office there. So we're looking at a complete refresh of Star Trek. Now the question is, what is that going to be? Like, what? Now I ask you. I know what I want, but I bet I know what you want too. Now, if you were to get a new iteration of Star Trek, what would that manifest into?
All right. It would manifest into avoid a prequel unless I am not against the Star Trek United following Archer and the formation of the Federation, especially as Scott Bakula is back.
I kind of warmed up to that idea. Yeah. But it would still fall under the Kurtzman banner.
I don't know. No one else seemed interested but Scott Bakula. So,
because, and I guess this is, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Keep going. Please continue.
I actually thought I heard that Kurtzman was not interested in a Star Trek United.
He wasn't. No,
Even
Star Trek
better.
United was a separate pitch from someone else that Skydance was interested in doing.
Then that could still be it.
The thing is, they can't. Yes, it could, but they just can't do anything until after Kurtzman's contract is completely done. It's not off the table.
6 weeks.
Yeah, kind of. Like they literally can't have anything on the books that they talked about it.
Fair.
They
can
have
change the name.
Pitch to them, but they can't have it on the books that they actually worked on development of it.
Sure.
So,
well, for me, what I would like is, if you're erasing Picard, if you are erasing Lower Decks and Prodigy, which are the 3 series that continue after Nemesis, then what you need to do is you need to bring in legit people like Mike McMahon, Terry Matalas, Ira Stephen Bear. And I'm not opposed to outside people, but, you need to have some people who know what the fuck they're doing in Star Trek. And
absolutely,
at least there needs to be a partnership. Ronald D. Moore, somebody who has the taste. And, if you want to start from fresh, from scratch, and clearly you probably want to start safely. What has it been? 20 years plus since Nemesis. You probably, if you're going to erase everything else, or even if not, but it's almost like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing where it's like separate but equal. Start at like, and I don't want this to get, sideways either, because there's a lot of people who loved that Star Trek Online, the 2409 timeline, which is completely separate and everything else.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I heard wonderful things about that.
They released a novel, which was like a series of like snips through timelines that I read, and some of it was quite good. But it's going to be too much, right? It would be almost the same as saying, oh, hey, let's go ahead and dig through these 50 years of novels.
Yeah, it would be
not
too
really
much.
going to do it. So start, I don't know, you go ahead and call it 25, go ahead and call it 2420, something like that, right? You want to give it want to give it a little push, or maybe you want to call it, even if you're trying to bring some of the old folks back, maybe you do bump it up around. Let's just call it 2410, right? What is that? 8 years after whatever this is supposed to be. I mean, if you're erasing everything, clearly erasing everything, then you can start whenever the hell you want. But I would recommend you start in the 25th century, right? You tell a new story going forward, okay? You tell, this is what I would like to see. Whatever they've got, these starships that can zip all over the place, right? Now you have these transwarp or slipstream starships or whatever that zip and are actually, now you're at the edges of the known galaxy, right? You have, you could be finding your way to the Dominion in the Gamma Quadrant, or beyond where the Dominion, beyond Borg space, the edges of the known galaxy, things that we never really touched. Okay. You have these ships that can travel faster than, TNG era ships, right? And you bring it back to what Star Trek is the exploring, learning, strange new worlds, new civilizations, right?
Yeah.
But once you're pushing to the edge of the galaxy, then it allows you to have, you can tweak some things. You can see what the galaxy looks like, how next thing you know, it's like, oh, you could zip all the way out there and see into the Delta Quadrant and see all the mess that Voyager left behind. By cutting through.
They did fuck things up a little bit.
Or, you come upon what's become of the Great Lakes since the end of the Dominion War. You could go beyond the realm of the, Klingon and Romulan empires deep into the Beta Quadrant,
Sure.
Edges of the galaxy.
Yeah, so your desire is that we continue from where the Dominion basically left off. We want to know what a post-Dominion War Federation looks like. Not right at the end of the Dominion War. Like you said, we're giving it a TNG treatment where we do a time leap a little bit. Not too much of a time leap, though, so that we're completely removed of what we want to, see the consequences of. But you want to basically see an updated version of what we had with TNG, DS9, Voyager.
Yeah.
Which is what Strange New Worlds was promised to do, by the way. And they failed miserably.
I wouldn't say miserably. They got off on the right foot, but they've had some stumbling blocks.
So I agree with you completely. I do want.
You just walked back your entire.
No, I didn't. No, I'm sorry. I agree with you about wanting the new show to be where it is. All those ideas and thoughts that you fostered, they're all good. all plausible, all potentially good things. I want to bring attention to this article here in light of the refreshing of Star Trek now, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It is what it is. I'm not going to read this whole thing, just going to read some excerpts, but it's very clear, as you can tell from the title, Rick Berman and Brandon Braga are not fans of contemporary language in modern Star Trek shows. Are you familiar with this, this interview?
Cool, awesome, bro.
Are you familiar with this?
With what?
With their interview? No. Okay. So they were on Shuttle Pod 1 with Dominic Keating and Connor Trenier, who have a podcast, and they bring
the
people
Decon Chamber.
Is it the Decon Chamber now?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So they had that. Anyway, so
yeah, see, there it is.
Shuttle Pod
right
1 here.
Big blue.
Appeared
No, they're talking about the episode Shuttle Pod 1.
Oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, so here's what Brannon weighed in on the language in Star Trek. Writing Star Trek, Rick, you could probably attest to this more than anybody. It's just a particular thing. The tone is kind of a timeless one. It's a bit of more formal, but at the same time, you don't want it to be too stiff. You want it to not be tainted by contemporary idioms, but at the same time, it can't be free of them. Braga also added, one of the reasons we wanted to do Enterprise was to loosen that up a little bit and have characters that talked a little more like you and me. Okay, fine. And then he goes on to say, Berman interjected saying, I watched an episode of one of the newer Star Treks where people were saying things like, give me 5. And it just didn't sit right to me. There's a certain classical element to Star Trek. And he's referring to this scene, which I haven't, when I saw that this episode was coming out, I'm like, I'm out. I mean, I watched the beginning of season 3 of Strange New Worlds, and I watched the very last episode of Strange New Worlds, because everything else in the middle was fucking filler. That's all it was. And here's also the other thing. So Dominic Keating, they've certainly modernized it for newcomers, which is not to say Strange New Worlds is not a great looking show. I mean, God, if we had that money and technology in our hands, Brandon Braga joked, we could have done puppets too. Dominic Keating was kind of trying to defend Strange New Worlds in a way. Again,
he was trying to, I think, downplay some of it because they do have people from these shows come on.
Yeah, of course he does, and that's fine. That's what he should do, because he needs to have content, and I there's nothing wrong with that. No one is saying that Strange New Worlds or any Kurtzman Trek looks cheap. No one is saying it looks awful. The execution is just terrible when it comes to the writing.
The cut and paste fleet, like from the series, the season finale of season 1 of Picard.
Yeah,
was pretty bad. I mean, you could do a lot better.
Yeah, you could, but that's when they ran out of money. So that being said, Brandon Braga also talked about how modern television kind of sucks, because it's now down to like 10 episode seasons, and each season is released 3 years apart.
That really sucks.
I was joking. I joked about this when I was saying about how you might have seen my Facebook post, but I'm in a mad dash to rewatch season 4 of Stranger Things, because part of the new 5th season is going to be released this Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. They can blame their buddy Ron Moore for some of that, though.
Well, I don't blame Ron Moore for it. That's a different thing. But I know what you're saying, though. Yes, and I'll explain that. But
do you remember growing up as a kid and watching a TV show, and it gets to like November, December, and they're like, "All right, here's an episode. Next episode will be like mid-January."
They didn't even tell you it was going to be mid-January.
But you
just
knew.
You just knew, because that was what you were conditioned to. It's
right.
Like, there's not going to be any new episodes except for a Christmas episode or something. And if it was Star Trek, they're not going to do a Christmas episode. So they're just gonna like cut production pre-Thanksgiving, and then
The Christmas
start
episode
up
was going to be the
January
first
1st.
week of December,
Yeah.
and then that was about it.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
about 10, maybe 15 years ago, network TV started doing fall finale.
Yes.
They would cliffhanger mid-season, and when you're going from, say, Thanksgiving to Martin Luther King Day, okay,
okay.
leave a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have an issue with that because they acknowledge it is still the same season. And
Right.
if you want to, spice it up and do that, it's better than a random two-parter in March.
They started doing that with Felicity on the CW. It was UPN back in the day, or WB. It was on WB. They started doing that when we were in college. So the WB experimented with the fall finale to be able to give them like an extra long window so that they could start up in like February for the spring premiere or something like that.
Yeah.
And it cut down episodes. It also reduced reruns, by the way, because there were a lot of times, like, even though you had like a 26 or 22 episode season, it wasn't enough episodes to fill that whole season before the season finale.
No, it's not. You usually had like a string of like 6 to 7 episodes. Then
Right.
you'd have like especially if it was like coming around a major event, like
Right.
say an election year,
Right.
or the Thanksgiving week is usually a dead week for a lot of shows. You'll have some of that where it'll be like, okay, and then you'll hit that doldrum in like March, where it's like, okay, fine, like what, and there's like 2 weeks of like reruns.
Yeah.
But this was at a time, particularly if you were watching the syndicated Star Trek, they'd start in like the last week of September, beginning of October, and they'd all go all the way to like the first week of June. But then you'd also have from like the middle of December to, late January at times, for stuff. But yeah, man, I get it, right? So some of these shows, like when we started really watching TV shows, they were at like 26 episodes a season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you flash forward to the mid to late 90s. Now you're back to about 24 for a lot. And then 22 kind of became standard season episode for particularly dramas. Maybe sitcoms would have had a little more, but like 22 was kind of like it in the early 2000s until the pandemic. And then now you never know how many episodes you get in the season. You're getting TV shows that are like,
there's no money now.
Well, some of it too is like, even your big network shows that are pretty popular, long running. It's like The Rookie doesn't show up until frickin' January. Right? They don't do anything in the fall at all.
No,
and
now it's a 13 episode
like 15
season. Or 15.
15, 20, like that.
Yeah, I mean, Family Guy.
Maybe it's because Nathan Fillion
love.
keeps doing every frickin' superhero movie out there.
Yeah. Family Guy, who you love,
work for James
they're
Gunn
down to 13
in the
episodes.
fall.
Yeah, true. All that.
You know,
all that's true.
A lot. You know, some of these shows like Family Guy, South Park, these real long-running animated shows, they only do like a half season because people will still zero in on them. You know, and then it allows Seth to do.
South Park only did like a couple 6 episode seasons.
Yeah, and then recently, they're like not every year either.
No. And then like it was 2 years ago they came out with a 6 episode season. This year they premiered in late July, and then they premiere a new episode like every 2 or 3 weeks now.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and be right up at front. I fucking am done with the 10 episode seasons.
Me too.
A lot of shit. And I am really done with the 2 years, 3 years between shows. Do you know how fucking aggravating it is to watch a show, enjoy a show, and then wait essentially the length of a standard military rotation at an installation, a 2 to 3 year gap. Like you You show up at a new military base, you binge watch a season of The Witcher or Stranger Things, and then the next time you get to watch it is 3 years later when you're at your next duty station.
Yeah.
No offense.
Annoying as fuck.
Fuck you. Okay?
It's
Your shows aren't that fucking good.
And that's the point. That's the point, DT. That's the point. They are not that good. And they're not meant to keep our attention that long. And what they're supposed to do is strike the iron while it's hot. So if a show is like really popular, you make as many episodes as you can up front and give those seasons as quick a renewal as possible, because that's success. Just because a TV show like Stranger Things is as popular as it is doesn't mean that that's a winning model for everything else.
Yeah, here's another thing, though. They're going to have to really come up with some reasons, because these started with kids, like tweens were the main cast.
I mean, they've had 30-year-olds play teenagers in Beverly Hills 90210. So whatever.
Gross.
You know, whatever.
And all it has done is allowed some of their stars to get either too big or too weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood.
I'm sorry.
I'm in agreement with you.
Fucking aggravating.
I want the old model, but it's not coming back.
You have to go. I'm not saying you don't have. You have to go back to 26 episodes a season on network TV. No, but if you can suck up and give me more than, especially like one of the problems that Strange New Worlds has, again, and we've discussed this, is when they do the filler episodes or the bottle episodes or the fucking gimmick episodes, it falls hollow when you only give us 10. You can do that maybe 2 or 3 times in a 20 plus, episode season, and it doesn't feel as bad, because then you still have 75% of your season is kind of locked in, right? I'm not saying there's not also other bottle episodes, but like the gimmick episodes, there's just too many for a 10 episode season, because there's an expectation when you're giving somebody a 10 episode season that there's a singular theme through the season.
I completely agree. You know who did it right? I think Sci Fi Channel figured out the perfect formula with Battlestar Galactica, and then they pushed it over to Stargate, where they started doing 10 episode and mid-season finales. It was 10 episode half seasons. So it was 20 episodes total. And then they would do the mid-season finale, and then 3 months off, and then come back, and then 4 months off, and then start the new season or something like that. But it still kept our attention just long enough. And it still was regular enough so that it didn't disrupt our routine, so to speak, because humans are born of routine, right? We want to come home from our job, sit down on the couch, and watch something that we're expecting, that we want to know what we're going to watch that night, so that we can just relax and turn off our brain.
And I won't. I'm not gonna lie. I did binge watch season 3 of The Witcher before season 4 came out, just so I was a little more fresh on what I was gonna watch. Right?
Yeah.
And
nothing wrong with that.
It did connect. I mean, I was a lot fresher than I probably would have if I just started from scratch, since it's been several years and 1 star later. It's a bit frustrating, but again, that's another show that started with a young person as one of the key pieces, one of the key actors, one of the key plot points. And this young woman has clearly grown, from, I don't know, like a 13, 14-year-old girl to, in her 20s.
Are you talking about Stranger Things?
No, I'm actually talking about The Witcher.
Oh,
which I just said.
Yeah, because The Witcher, I started to watch the first season. It came out in what, 2019?
Something like that.
It was right before the pandemic. I watched the first few episodes on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It did come out in 2019, yes. And didn't catch my interest. It was a little too... The non-linear storytelling, without me knowing that it was non-linear, took me out of it. It was
a little
trying to be
wonky
too
at
clever.
first.
It was trying to be too clever.
You're right. The subsequent seasons are all pretty much straightforward timeline.
Right.
Maybe that makes it easier to follow. And I'm not insulting anyone's intelligence, but you're right. It was a little wonky. I'm like, wait, how old are these people?
Yeah, exactly.
But then you find out that witchers and mages actually, the things that they go through actually do prolong their lives. And you're like, oh, so it actually is plausible. Anyway, Stranger Things, The Witcher, I'm sure The Last of Us. If you start with a young person and they're supposed to be young, the model doesn't work when you drag your fucking ass on the next season.
Right.
You know what it does work for? The Mandalorian. Because their young MacGuffin is a puppet.
Right.
And he's also from a species that can live for a millennia. So that if 4 years go by, he's still going to look roughly the same.
And even with that, Disney tried to keep the traditional model as much as they could. They had the Mandoverse, and it started in November of 2019. And then in October of 2020, they had the season 2 of Mando. And then in December of 2021, they had the Book of Boba Fett. Mandoverse, still Mandoverse. And then I don't know if they had Ahsoka right after that, or I think they did.
No, I think Mando season 3 came out before Ahsoka.
Yeah, maybe. If there was only some way we could check, it's weird. I'm not going to argue with you. Season 3 of Mando came out in 2023. All right. Summer 2023. There were several other Mandoverse shows that were out before that, but it was all trying to tell the same story in a world. Okay, fine.
No, you may be correct. I apologize. Ahsoka came out after Mando season 3. You are correct.
Okay, so Mando season 3 came out in 2023. There was a little bit of a gap, but Disney was at least trying to keep it regular. You got to give them credit.
They were, and a lot of their stuff got hiccuped probably by the pandemic.
Yeah,
because they did go 2.5 years between, season 2 and season 3. Now they had
continuations of the story with Book of Boba Fett.
They did.
I mean, I'm not saying they didn't, but they were at least trying to keep it regular.
Yeah. Especially when they got to Mandalorian season 2.5.
Exactly.
But I get it. And it's a headache though, right? And part of the problem too is I know people will just say, oh, well, it's been 2 years. Well, now's a perfect time to binge watch the previous 2 seasons.
Right. Which is what I'm literally doing with Stranger Things. Like I'm just binge watching ahead of time. It is exhausting.
One of the reasons why I still like network TV is because, it's October. I can season 23 or whatever of NCIS is on. Yay. There's literally not one cast member from the pilot episode of NCIS who is still a regular cast member on NCIS. It's not quite like Law and Order, which changes casts left and right, but they've had enough turnover over 2 decades, right? The fact of the matter is you watch it, there's a level of expectation, roughly a year from the season premiere, And, there should be another one, right? There's an expectation. It may be, 15 to 20 episodes as opposed to 24 when the show started, but it is what it is, right? It's okay. Some of these shows will come in like October, burn through like 8 episodes, and then take 3 months off. They don't show up again until February. They burn through another 8 episodes. They're done by May. And that's still better than what I get with the streaming service, right?
Yes.
The only Star Trek streaming show that had any sort of consistency was Lower Decks.
It was Lower Decks. They came out every year. They came out consistently.
Roughly around the
every
same
year,
time,
right
between
around the
August
same time.
and September.
Yep. You are correct. Yep. So that's our bitch session about
how, and that's a show that didn't overdo the gimmicks. I mean, the whole show was a gimmick, really.
I was gonna say the whole show was a gimmick, but
like you kind of expect that, right? And they actually did a decent job with having a running theme through almost every season.
They did, and I gotta respect that. I mean, the writers could write.
Their storytelling was the tightest of the entire new series.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of that.
It really was. Shockingly enough, it was. The cartoon, the comedy cartoon, was the tightest written show of all the new Star Treks.
And maybe at times the most Star Trek.
It had the most Star Trek moments to it. The season 1, the season 1 finale, the one that you said, Mac, you stay with it. Watch all the way through season 1 finale. It'll be the most Star Trek moment you'll ever experience since Enterprise. And you were absolutely correct.
it was the most. Yeah, I said it was the most Star Trek moment in a decade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
It was pretty close to it,
Yeah.
I mean, I was willing to give 09 some love.
No one hated 09. No one hated Star Trek 09. I loved Star Trek 09. I watched that on repeat when I got it on digital. I watched that shit on repeat on my iPod Touch. Okay? On my iPod Touch, I watched it on repeat. So I loved that movie. They ruined it with Into Darkness.
The fact of the matter is, you're right. I mean, when you boil down to it, what did we get out of Kurtzman Trek? His number of solid seasons. Lower Deck, each season was pretty strong and solid. Picard had one strong season. Strange New Worlds has one strong season. Season 1.
First one. Yep.
2 and 3 both had some standout moments, but they also had a lot of.
They had all the filler episodes. They had comedic episodes. Like what? I mean,
you're allowed.
We're retreading.
I would say 2, maybe, right? But
yeah,
you're right. Like out of those, and then Discovery was so up and down. And I'm going to give Prodigy an incomplete because I never really watched it. And no knock on it. So it's a struggle. But you ran into the same thing a bit with one of the things that I liked about most of the Star Wars shows was that they kind of kept tight. I mean, sure, they were short. I felt Mando could have benefited from 10 episode seasons rather than 8. Especially the early seasons where he's still kind of the lone guy hopping from job to job.
Yeah.
Side questing. But the model generally worked for them. Season 3, they kind of went off the rail with a couple of randos, but for the most part, that was pretty good, But some of the best drama Star Wars shows were Bad Batch, which had a dozen episodes, maybe a season, and Andor, which had more like a dozen episodes a season, but these were, really turning out the dialogue, the story, the beats, and maybe it's a fatigue of some of these franchises. But even The Witcher, its fourth season, and I know a lot of people were down on it because Liam Hemsworth replaces Henry Cavill, but like if you're moving too far off the mark of what made the show work, it's a problem.
It's a problem. And that's
the longer
the
and longer you push off, the worse it is.
That's been the theme of all of our beloved franchises for the last 10, maybe 15 years. That's been the theme. Now, here's the fun part. So we talked about how Star Trek is getting a reset, and we talked about what we wanted from it and everything. What we do have confirmed in every way, shape, and form is this.
Yes.
Stargate. And
I sent you that.
You did. You were the one that broke the news to me, and I dug in. I did a whole lot of research. I actually had to subscribe to Patreon for an insider account and everything. So I'm going to read a little bit of that too in a second. But the news is finally Amazon has greenlit a new start to Stargate. And it is by the original creators. Brad Wright, Peter DeLuise are going to be consultants on this. They created the original Stargate SG1. They created Stargate Atlantis. They contributed to Stargate Universe. Stargate SG1 lasted 10 seasons, over 200 episodes. Something Star Trek's no single Star Trek episodes ever series has ever done. Atlantis. Fantastic. I have argued that the Stargate universe was Marvel universe before Marvel because of the way that they were able to do jokes and be, a little airy and light when it came to some of the subject matter, but also super serious and balls to the wall action and adventure.
I think a show like Stargate and Babylon 5 could do things that Star Trek and Star Wars couldn't because of where they were in the pantheon, right? Like Star Trek had this gold standard and, of what to expect. And it was this TV icon that spawned a powerful franchise and had decent theatrical success. Whereas Star Wars was almost the exact opposite. It was a theatrical juggernaut and has begun recently to have, success in TV. But like B5 was kind of its own thing. And, it had to really live in the shadow of Star Trek because there was a lot of similarities.
And Star Trek was at its height at that point.
And you're right. Star Trek was at its height. And Star Trek was still pretty powerful when Stargate came in. Sure, they had that pretty fun and pretty wild movie, which was a really good sci-fi movie.
Which, by the way, went up against Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
And I hated the idea. I hated the idea of Stargate. When that movie came out, I was like, how dare you put that up against my precious Star Trek Generations and try to F with Star Trek here with the TNG cast finally going off onto the silver screen. How dare you? I
mean, it lost, but it was still
Stargate
a pretty good movie.
Yeah. It was a good movie. I liked it. I mean, it had its flaws, but it was still, it's leaps and bounds better than most of the things you see coming out of the Hollywood now, by the way.
They got Kurt Russell on board.
Yeah. That was James Spader.
Yeah. Young Spader.
Yeah. Young James Spader. So, you got Michael Shanks over here who, you can't see him on the right. He's the guy on the right, playing the James Spader role. And
yes, I know who he is.
Yeah. So Michael Shanks actually put his 2 cents in on the reboot. And it's not a reboot. It's basically a continuation,
A sequel
of the show. But I'll just read a little bit of this insider statement. It came out 4 days ago. I don't feel too guilty about reading a little bit of it. But I had to pay for it. So just the first few paragraphs, if you don't mind. So Amazon MGM decided,
be brilliant, be gone.
I just listen, okay? Just relax, okay? Rest your larynx, please. Did you just flip me off? Oh no, even worse. You brandished. Okay. Amazon MGM decided to greenlight the show based on the completed pilot script, which everyone was excited about. The pilot is set in the next stage of the storyline established by Stargate SG1, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, but the new series will follow what happens after disclosure of the Stargate program and the alien threat has been made to the public. Accordingly, there will be a new team established in the pilot, which will include civilians as well as military personnel working with a friendly alien like the Jaffa of the original series. The story uses elements that have been planned but never executed in SG1 and Atlantis. And the intent is to honor the established mythos, but also make the series approachable to newbies. That is all we ever wanted. What did Discovery do right at the onset? They made Klingorks.
Canon? Well,
they made Klingorks, and they created this Klingon Federation war that didn't exist in canon.
Not that Klingon war. There was a canon Klingon war.
Yeah, but it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. But I saw a lot of people from CBS who were Star Trek people before trying to bend over backwards to say, it is part of canon. It's okay. It could be considered that. It's fine. We didn't break canon. And they bent over backwards to do that. Because this is where I feel like this is where the tide is turning when it comes to the new age of sci-fi. We had the last 10 years basically say, F you, we want the modern audience, which doesn't exist, by the way. And we don't want the old audience. We want the new modern audience to continue us forward. And they didn't come because the modern audience doesn't exist. And in the process, they alienated the established audience, who is only getting older now. Stargate, the creators of Stargate are like, well, we saw how all that happened with Star Trek and with The Witcher and with basically everything else that's coming out of Hollywood. So let's honor what this show is and basically just make a new episode, make new episodes of SG1, but with a different team. That's all we want. That's all we want. And by the way, DT, I know it. You have your qualms with Stargate. It's a damn fine show. It is good sci-fi. It is good storytelling. And my God, I am so God help me. God help me.
The original sin.
I know.
That's said, bad storytelling.
It was the fucking pilot. They stopped doing that. Okay.
What, abandoning the entire point of the movie?
They
halfway
they
through?
learned their lessons. Okay. All right. That being said, because you can't forgive and forget. I understand. That's fine. And it's not a character flaw on your part.
We do not forgive or forget.
Yes. Oh shit, I lost my point. It was, what was I saying?
You said that you were very happy for Stargate.
Okay. So remember when the Mandalorian trailer came out and I said, I am not affected by this trailer in any way, shape, or form.
Oh,
I am not excited.
Grogu trailer?
Yeah. And I was like, I want to be excited for this, but I've been teased too much. I've been overhyped by a whole lot of things and let down by every single one of them. And I'm just not excited for this. DT, I am actually excited for this. I have hope. God help me. God help me if they fail.
Podcasts are built on hope.
Oh my God. Like, I actually have hope that I'll be able to get some continuation of sci-fi that honors the past and carries the flag forward, unlike what we've gotten in the last 10 years.
The Clone Wars.
I mean, I understand the Clone Wars was its own thing. I wasn't a Clone Wars person. I watched the show. I enjoyed the Bad Batch. Don't get me wrong, but that wasn't a continuation of what I wanted necessarily, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Right. Well, what I found out after how fantastic season 7 of the Clone Wars was when they brought it back, and then to go and see just how cinematic the first episode of the Bad Batch was, I'm like, these guys fucking get it.
Yeah, no, they got it. They definitely got it. And they did a great job of it too.
Yeah.
And we watched that. We watched with Ahsoka, staring down what's his name? Darth Maul.
Oh my God. And that was mocap too.
It was
fucking awesome.
It was really well done. And it was exceptionally well done. I actually had to watch it twice just to, because it was impressive right before we did the pod on that. But that's my point, DT. I wasn't looking forward to that because that wasn't my jam. Okay. This was my jam. Stargate, I loved. It filled in the gap for a lot of my Star Trek stuff when Star Trek went off the air. And it did it well.
Good.
And they honored Star Trek too. Like they took some things from it, like beaming technology, and they literally referenced Star Trek in it, going, well, we're not going to name the ship Enterprise, Colonel. Well, why not? Like, I mean, things like that. I mean, it was good. It was irreverent storytelling, and that's all we need. I just want good characters. I want good stories, and I want some laughs along the way.
Well, why don't you take us out?
So on that note, everybody, until the next time, we'll figure out if we're recording before Thanksgiving or not. I don't know. If not, have a happy Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. Until then, hell yeah, man. And DT?
And I'm DT Catman. Enjoy. If we don't talk to you, have a great holiday. See you on the high ground.
Mack's got a pen that can warp the stars. DT's got stories from cavalry scars. One rocked the world's where the heroes fly. The other old tanks under desert sky. From sandbox forts to the final frontier. Two kids with dreams and a six-pack of beer. Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the street lights spark. We read those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters and books, geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Mack spins a tale about a rogue AI. DT counters with man, I drove that guy. From doom to doom, we argue the stakes while the coffee gets gets cold and the pizza box breaks. Childhood pals in a grown-up fight for the best damn death scene on a Friday night. Pixels or pages, we're never done. Two working stiffs chasing alien sun. We're in those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. Blasters or books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah. No capes, no powers, just regular days. But we'll save the galaxy in our own ways. Max drafting novels in the dead of night. DT's got tank tracks, turns them into light. Together we're louder than a hyperdrive scream. Two regular dudes living the sci-fi dream. Yeah, yeah, we're with those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. From the sandbox to the stars, we'll never say die. Tune in, geek out, those sci-fi guys.